Hello, beautiful souls, divine collective. We're going to get into it a little bit today, just on the full moon in Gemini, and I'm not doing the standard full moon stuff that everybody else is. I'm just trying to find my own little things that I noticed that we're going to talk about briefly. So I'm going to bring it up here. I'll do my best to be brief. I did another video before, but it was too long, so we're just going to get into it and try to be a little more brief about it. So this is the chart for California. The houses may differ on the full moon in your part of the world. I'm just going to discuss, I'm not really going to get too much into the houses, except for I think the ninth and third house connection here with the moon. Obviously, the sun has to be opposite to be fully lighting up the moon to full moon. And then we got Mercury and Jupiter. So, what my take on this is well, the full moon is when it's kind of at the time to reap and harvest, but there's a lot of magic in the full moon too. Um, and the moon has to do with emotion. So there's going to be a lot of emotion coming out, but it's going to be on more of a mental level, remembering and mental processing because it's in Gemini, and the ninth house is all about learning lessons. I'm going to use the word spiritual, even though everything is spiritual, everything is spirit. But since people do use that definition to describe inner work and self journey, as well as, how we can be service to others, let's just go ahead and use the word spiritual. So, in a spiritual way, ninth house is about moving towards learning, spiritual travel. It's all about the excitement of what gets you going, and because Sagittarius normally rules that house, and it's all about fire, experience, your soul just wanting to experience everything, take it all in and learn. And we've got Orion in there, which has a long history with Egypt and Atlantis, and there's also Lemuria was involved in some of that too. You got the Capella, which has the shamanic energy of the healing and knowledge of the indigenous tribes everywhere. I mean, there might be different ones that worship different stars, but we're just going to go with the general. We're going to work with the archetypes here. And Rigel is conjunct Saturn in the ninth house, which is like I did a video a little bit ago where I talked about Saturn being in Gemini, and especially in the ninth house now, it's about people that jobs might be going away that we don't need anymore, especially in government and other places that were more about greed and making more and more to make more money and just making people throw things away, making them break down faster. So people had to buy more and just throwing things in the trash. This is going to be more about learning new ways, learning, training in new things, possibly even multiple things, so that we can hopefully eventually turn a lot of these manufacturing plants into repurposing plants where we're recycling stuff from the trash and repurposing, breaking it down. They've found mushrooms now that break down plastic and turn it back into organics. So I cannot remember the species. You can go look that up on your own. But yes, there are many different bacteria, and mushrooms are the brains of the world. They are the genetic healers. I'm not going to tell you to go out and buy mushroom supplements or eat a lot of mushrooms. You need to figure that on your own. But I can tell you that they've done tests and studies and put mushrooms in with cells that were broken down, and they have helped them to redevelop. Mushrooms, what do they call it? Mycelium is like I can't remember what it is, but part of the mushroom thread web goes through the whole earth and it sends messages. So it is basically the organic grid, at least in the soil level. So you can think of that however you want, but to me, it's the brains. I think there's this one mushroom that's like the hugest network of mushrooms, as big or bigger than the Amazon. but they all connect underground across the world. And that's what we use even in gardening. They put the fibers from mushrooms into the soil because when it gets in there, it starts to connect all the plant's roots to the ground to help. I mean, it just helps everything. They connect, they're like the connector, the nerve fibers that connect and energize and help everything process and reorganize to repair. So all the destruction can be repaired through some of the mushrooms in our energy grid work. They're part of the process. There's so many things involved. I'm just telling you, there are a lot of mushrooms and bacteria and things like that that will process some of these things that we think poison the earth forever. They can be instituted, but of course, the regressive ones did not want that to happen. That's why it wasn't done. But now these technologies, organic technologies, or understandings are coming out, and they will be instituted. So let's get back on track. So the connection with the moon and the emotions that are attached to all these future, past, ancient past and present um, healings and traumas, and crossing that mentally with the Mercury in retrograde is a time to reflect on our thoughts, but my pulling it all together, and the sun in Rasalhague, which is Ophiuchus, which is the serpent bearer, so or the serpent charmer. Serpent being the one that sheds its skin. There are a lot of transformative energies. However, the serpent is knowledge. It's also spiritual transformation as it sheds its skin. He stands between two worlds. He stands between our physical world and his foot's on the other side of the veil as well. So with the light shining there, conjunct Rasalhague, I believe that the veil is being the wall between us and the other side is being shifted into very transparent so that we are able to process and understanding of the other side and the physical to objectively look at our traumas. Doesn't mean people won't be out there needing to release some physically or mentally, emotionally. However, to move forward, we reflect on the emotions coming up, or we've already worked through a lot of the emotions, or don't have as much attachment to the traumas from Orion, but we've learned a lot in our incarnations, possibly in Orion or coming from the nebula. And it's about mentally being in a reflective state so that we can move forward. It doesn't show on this chart, but there are many stars that are in this great database that Julia Velaz created, galacticastro.com, and you can take her basic class or become a quantum soul guidance healer. I will put that link down below. But the supergalactic center is a supercomputer of the cosmos, and those that are connected to it at birth, we can all connect it to it at any time. Many of us were born with Pluto conjunct supergalactic center, which just means an innate ability to access. However, we all can, but we all have different things we're connected to when we come into this world. So connecting to it, we don't need to put a Neuralink chip in our brain. That's the regressive side way of trying to cheat through self work and self development to get to source without having to do the work to reconnect. Um, but it is our organic knowledge database, one of them. There are many, but it is a galactic center is our closest connection, and supergalactic center even goes deeper. But it's a lot of it holds the past, present, and future all in one, and it helps us with that connection. And that's where we have the reflection with the south node being conjunct supergalactic center. It's where we are coming from, what we have brought ourselves from, and where we're going. Time doesn't mean anything except for when we're in this physical experience. So we are delineating things as far as time of ancient past and future, or ancient now and future, even though that is not how it always works, but that's how we see it here. And the North Node doesn't show, however, it is conjunct Deneb Katos, which is also called Difta. And this star is supposedly the second frog, according to Astrology King. I've got to give credit where I've researched. And if I don't, then it's something I've just come up with by reading other things. But this was definitely directly from Astrology King, that it is the second frog, which the first frog is Fomalhaut, which is the one of the royal stars. It is Gabriel, is considered to be a big energy from Fomalhaut star, and he is the messenger of the gods. Brings to the messages of, well, it's not doom and gloom. It's usually just messages of like how we can transform, um, and spiritual messages. We won't get too much into Fomalhaut because that is not directly in conjunction anything right now. I'm just giving you what that is. It's supposed to be messages of fortune or good messages or messages we need to hear. Whereas the second frog, which is what they call Difta or Deneb is the energy of when a frog's in a swamp or in a pond, and it gives out a warning that danger's coming. That's the ancient dark way to see it, because back in those days of Ptolemy and ancient Greece, there was a lot of tragedies they wrote about. Everything was very dramatic and a lot of dark. So my interpretation is it's more of the frog signaling out conjunct to our north node where we're moving as a collective, and as individuals might have to, call someone or me. Can always do a free chart for you right now because um, uh, I'm still doing my service before I decide to um, get my certification. I'm still doing practice, and although I'm very intuitive with it, I am not charging currently for short um, sessions for free on your galactic chart to help you out. Um, Donations are welcome, but just contact me if you want a free chart, short reading, and I get to help get you on your way. So this North Node, the frog is signaling that we need to be remembering the warnings of the past as we move into the future, but not live in them. Just remember what we've been through, and using that moon energy, the power of the emotion in the moon, the balanced emotion though. So if you have work to do, then do your trauma work. If you have to go cathartic, that's your business. If you want to do just learning to look at it objectively and say that's a good story and I'm passing through it and just see the benefits, that's another process. So whatever your process is, it's just letting you know to work through it so that when you're reflecting on these things and creating, because everything is created through thought first, and then the thought inseminates the womb of the moon emotion creativity. The emotion has the power to bring thought into form. So you can see that however you want, the male, the female, masculine, feminine. It doesn't have to be male, female. It's just the woman has the womb that pulls that thought and molds it with her emotions into creation. However, when we look forward to what we're going to create in the future, the North Node in Aries is about fire, creation, making things happen. Yet, even with that fire energy, the Mercury is in a fire sign as well, in the sign of Sagittarius, which is all about spiritual learning, growth, absorbing everything, excitement about learning. A lot of teachers have Sagittarius heavy in their chart. Um, Travel, even if it's not travel with the internet, we go explore other cultures physically or on the internet or mentally, energetically, which opened up this world to others to see that cultures are not so different. There is nobody who is able to be dehumanized, because no matter how we behave in society, we are all human, and most people that are doing the regressive or negative are feeling disconnected from source, or they are hurt and they'd rather hurt others than have to look at their own um, creation of their path in life and to say, hey, I can learn from this and it hurt at the time, and that's okay. Yet I can use it to empower me and to help others that have been hurt and move forward in power, or to feel like a victim and start to want power over others. That's as simple as it gets, but there is no dehumanizing, well, for humans anyway. if you're some mechanical device moving around without any conscience, I don't know what to tell you, but that's not where we're going with this. We're talking about the collective of humanity. And I get sidetracked with these weird little things sometimes. So um, Achernar is here also. And its conjunction to Saturn, what I can tell you on that is it will be fully conjunct Saturn on December 25th. Saturn will be fully moving into that conjunction. So that'll be the strongest around 24th, 25th, so Christmas time. But people have been feeling it for a bit now, and it's moving forward. We've already had the reflection when Saturn went retrograde through Achernar. So it passed through forward through Achernar, and that is when we reflect on the journey that we took, the harsh hero's journey, where we have tragedies, laughs, everything along that long path from Cursa at the foot of Rigel, which in ancient Greek myth, I believe the belief of the astronomers is that Cursa was the beginning of the river, Varadnis, and it was right near the foot of Orion, which is Rigel, this beautiful bright star. And to find the beauty and to figure out how the star shines so bright, you start on the river through Cursa, which is the excitement of the beginning of your hero's journey, which along the path has trials and tribulations. And of course, there's a star in there. I can't remember the name, but it does resemble the exhaustion of the journey where you feel like, oh, good grief, I'm so tired of this fighting back and forth. And then there's a point of letting go and flowing down the river. And then you get to the end of the journey and go, oh my gosh, let's integrate this. So it's looking like I was talking about with the emotions and the reflection of Mercury right now. Our creation that we create moving forward is using that frog energy of Deneb Katos and saying, okay, we hear the chorus singing about the past and we want to sing a new song for the future, but we want to do it with balanced, objective, compassionate emotion, not ignoring our traumas and pain, but knowing we've moved through it and use it to empower to move forward. But you want to be in a balanced state mentally and emotionally to create for the future. This isn't a warning that if you're emotionally unbalanced right now and having a lot of stuff you're going through, just be aware that when you focus on creating that you're not in those states. So have your time to go through the grief, have your time to process whatever you need to process because that's going to happen too. But it's not a warning that it's just don't focus on what you want to create during those times. Allow yourself that hermit time, that time to pull back from people and to really just process through it or reach out to those that can support you through that process. I may be one of those people that can help you with looking at your chart. And I think the most important thing is learning compassion. I know sometimes when I speak, I don't come across the way that I am. I'm a very compassionate, very in tune with my emotions, and I've been through a lot of trauma and hardship, and I understand pain and suffering and separation. Even though I came in very connected, there were things along my path that had to separate me from source so I could see how desperate and despair it could feel. And this year is my final release off the cap of the soda bottle. All the pressure from everything I've learned and traumas I've been through, it felt like, well, I won't say soda bottle because it didn't explode like that. It just seemed almost like overnight after meditating and really studying galactic astrology, getting into it, it just released and it felt so good. It doesn't mean I haven't had times of frustration after that, but they're on a different level. I don't feel the despair. I don't feel the loneliness. I don't feel the fear or the disconnection. I feel connected. And yes, when things don't move fast enough, I do get frustrated at times. And then, even if it's not for me, my guides or my higher self, which my guides and higher self and all of you and source are all connected. So when people channel and stuff, I just see it as they're connecting to another part of themselves. If they're looking outside, that's not the people that I listen to. But there are people that connect within. It's the ones that connect without. But the message is what's important. If it resonates, do not worship or become a cult following or feel like you have to become. Well, I think the danger is when people feel like they need to get answers. It's one thing to have someone read your chart or to have a friend be a bouncing board and insert some things that they feel with their experience that might help you, that you will help you to connect for yourself. But the important thing is always to go within, and that these listening to videos is great. It's the ones that scare me the most is when I see them desperately asking channels or something for answers. But that's the path they need to go through. But it does bother me inside, I have to say, because I've been through that looking constantly for answers outside, even though I knew I had them inside, but I felt so separated and I'm getting off track. But I just wanted to share that so people don't think I'm not compassionate and haven't been through things and I'm just some trying to be some enlightened person. I'm not. I'm working at it just like everyone else here and came to do my part. And this is part of my process is to share my vulnerability, even though sometimes it might be embarrassing having it on video so everybody can see. And yet my journey along the way and learning and understanding that I had to feel disconnected to learn what I had to learn to be compassionate to others and help them along the way when it's their time. Um, I did have others help me along the way, and I tried to do it myself at times, and some people pushed me down. And it's, but when you're consciously focused on it and asking for real help and ready, the right people will be there to empower and support you or help you to find empowerment yourself by supporting you. Because we are not meant to do it alone. So just because I say go within and we have all the answers in ourselves, it does not mean we're here to do it alone. We are here to be our true power, but also to be in concert with others, in balance and in harmony. It's seeking too much in others outside of us. Relationships can be wonderful, yet when you feel like you cannot be a whole person without that other person, that's where it goes into the addiction and the darker side of any of these things. Any addiction is addiction, and all addictions are attachment because we're not feeling connected to source. Anyway, I've done all that, believe me. Um, so with Achernar, it is Saturn. Saturn is Chronos. It is the timekeeper. It is the physical, the 666, which is not evil. The only thing 666 meant and why they associate it with the devil and all that is because those that get into the Luciferian worship are all about themselves and they love all of the instant gratification, the drugs, the sex. They love all that because it it's all these synthetic things outside themselves, which we've all, well, a lot of us have been through. Some haven't done drugs, but I've done it all, and it doesn't feel fulfilling. And I had to pull myself out of all that and to see why I had to experience those things to understand it. So I get where people get carried away with that, especially when they've been abused or traumatized, like many of us have been. It's easy to go down that road, easier to go down that road and do things that help you to escape from going through and processing that trauma and healing it. Actually, it's much more beneficial and lightens you up a lot more to do the work, but it to them or when I was in it, it felt easier to avoid the work. I don't know how that sounds, but I'm sure most of you understand some way. And if you don't, then just let it fly. We'll get back to this. But Chronos 666 is just when that's the physical. That's all it means. It's the denser energy, the gravity. That's Saturn rules gravity, the physical world, and that's the matrix. So when people say, oh, it's the satanic Saturn, whatever, it's because they're looking at there's dark and light to everything. If you want to go down that road and look at 666 as evil, it's not. It is the beauty of source incarnate into physical, which is us. It needed to hold the matrix of 666, which is the physical world. And yes, it does. You have a choice to go delve deep into these things and learn and move out, or you can stay stuck with them and be addicted and hold on to them. But Yeshua, Buddha, many of the ascended ones have spoken about releasing attachment, and that's what they mean. And this is what I'm talking about with the looking at releasing our trauma, releasing attachment to that drama and trauma, letting it heal and getting the lesson from it and moving forward in an objective way. And Achernar is helping us by after we've reflected Saturn going retrograde through Achernar, now we're pushing forward again the second time with a new perspective. And that memory of Achernar Achernar helps with the memory also of the past because we did do the journey and now it's time to process and remember. And as it already went through forward once and gone to retrograde to help us to integrate and to reflect on it, it's going back again in a different way. So this is all fun and amazing. I can't believe people do not get passionate about this. I guess it's just my path. But then I look up at the stars and see Orion again. And I remember all the times when I was young, I would always look up at Orion, at least the ones that I knew from my neighbor who was I know I'm getting off on my own little thing, but I'm just telling the story. My neighbor when I was 12 I looked at the stars all my life, but he happened to have a telescope. He was my dentist, but his project on the side, his hobby was astronomy. So he showed me all these things, and I think I've connected this before, but I always looked up at Orion, especially at the bottom of the sword, right where the Orion Nebula could have been M42, 43, or 44, but um, I always looked up, I believe it was Orion Nebula, but for some reason in my head, I was always thinking it was the Pleiades, so there must be some kind of connection, or maybe there are a lot of Pleiadians that came from there too, or have a connection. But until recently, I thought it was the Pleiades. So this is where our guides and our higher self, or whatever we lined up for ourselves, have these weird disconnects and things that we should have known logically, but for some reason it always mixed up in our mind. And finally, I realized that is Orion Nebula. I looked up again and I said, wait a minute, I know that's not Taurus. This is Orion, and it's not where Pleiades should be. So I went online and looked to where the bottom of those three stars was, where I always look right at the bottom of the three stars, which is the belt, and then that's the sword. Where the nebula are, I believe it's the sword. So it connected and it felt weird that I didn't know that all this time but there must be a connection between Orion and the Pleiades, but you can tell me I don't do a lot of meditating on the whole galactic inner. I do on the stars, constellations, and the energies from there, and I do have an awareness of certain beings that I are galactic races that I have connection. I actually resonate with a lot, almost all of them. I do resonate with all of them in some way because they are all archetypical energies that we process through our life and can pull out at any time. And they all have positive and negative. So even the ones we consider regressive and on the negative end, there are always positive ones in there that are not positive, but there are always ones that are wanting more service to others and to reconnect with source. Then there's the regressives that always want to, they understand and have a lot of power because they have a lot of the secret knowledge. They don't realize they cannot connect with source, which most of them, they're so into that feeling of power over others that they think they can get to source and control that energy, which is impossible. But that's what they're trying to do through Neuralinks and all that stuff that we don't need. I mean, yes, AI is great as a tool, but to give it consciousness, I don't know if that's the path we want to go down and to actually incorporate it into our own bodies when we have it all within us anyway. So that's the artificial timeline, and that's not the one I'm moving to. And a lot of us are not. I went off track there. I hope that was entertaining. And if it wasn't, sorry I bored you. We'll get back to this. So I just see the future we're creating is with the balance. So the masculine puts the seed in the womb of emotion, creates, and that's what we're moving forward is how we create in balance with our emotions and our thoughts. So ego does come in there to hold us into the physical. And we are still going to be in physical in the fourth and fifth dimension, just a different vibration. No better, no less, just less polarity, less of the dramatics. It doesn't mean there isn't going to be music that will move you and challenges that will still be there, just on a different level of frequency, and it won't be so extreme. I hope this was helpful, and there may be things that I forgot, but I don't want to bore people and have this too long of a video. Um, we did come from the South Node, though, is in Libra, which is balancing out, which we came from trying too hard to balance things out in a different way. So now we're moving forward into that, like I said, the positive North Node of integrating it all. And from what we've learned, moving forward in a more conscious, aware way, what we create. Beautiful blessings. There are many other videos like Molly McCord and Martha Alter Hines that does some stuff that's great too. And Miriam Viederman. You can look them all up on YouTube. Miriam is from Germany, Myriam, and Wiederman is Wiederman. And they have some great videos as well. These are my friends in our Quantum Soul Guidance community, the Galactic Astrology. So if you want to join that, I will, like I said, put it in the comments or put it in the description below so you can connect. Thank you so much. And if you have anything to add or things that I missed that you think were important of galactic energies coming in as well, then please put them down below. And just another note is anything in retrograde, the nodes are usually in retrograde, but like Uranus, so even the changing, shifting energy is slowly moving in Taurus right now. So it's very methodical how the changes are going to be happening with our transformation. The eighth house is all about death, rebirth, other people's resources, but all that's changing, but it's changing in a very reflective way. It's not just pushing forward like lightning right now. It is, I guess, more of a slow, energetic pulse. So the death and transformation right now should not be as extreme, at least for in the United States and near California area time zones. Blessings to all. And if you have anything else that you would like me to explore, please put them in the comments. I'm kind of starting to get more into doing these videos and doing more, trying to keep more organized and research for you and have more pictures in them. I just wanted to share a couple more pictures here. These were that I pulled for Ophiuchus. So this is these are the energies we're working with right now. We have the Orion, and this is what I was talking about with the nebula and coming out from between his legs. So the thought coming down here, and Ophiuchus, which is conjunct the sun right now, and sun is also about life creation, is conjunct Ophiuchus. And Ophiuchus is the head, so again, mental of Ophiuchus, the one who's between the veil or between the other world and here. This is Ophiuchus constellation. I believe this is where Rasalhague is, but that is in the mental position of the head of Ophiuchus. So again, like I said, we're working with emotion and mental creation, and this is where Ophiuchus looks like in again. If I didn't show this before, the Milky Way, Rasalhague, Ophiuchus is pretty large, but these are also the surrounding stars. And just to give you an idea of where everything is in the sky, so there are a lot of powerful energies around here right now. Arcturus, Spica, Vega, Deneb, Adige, I believe, and Cygnus and Antares. Altair, the Eagle. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed, and I'm going to stop the share. And this is just a powerful time, especially for those feel connected to future, past, and present of Lemuria, Gaia, um, Atlantis, and Orion. I'm not saying there are not other galactic things, but these are the ones that are focused on right now. So if you want to go to like Astrodienst and look up where, again, where the asteroids Atlantis and possibly like Sphinx, anything that clicks to resonate with your possible energies that you have with Atlantis and Lemuria and Orion. Um, so that should be fun, and I will post some of the connections below. Take care. And also, there's some fun stuff on a place called the Starseed Sanctuary with Dr. Heather. And she does some fun exploration of a lot of the energies of certain nebulas that she chose and where they might be in your chart, how they would affect you on your chart. And I can, like I said, I'm doing some free practice sessions. So reach out to me. You don't have to donate. That's just if you would like to. Um, but I'm doing it for free because it's my passion and it's fun. And take care, all. Until next time.